this works. My internet is, it's not very good. So if anything happens to this webinar, if it drops out, just stay on and I'll come back. Hopefully it won't drop out. I'm actually working from home at the moment because Melbourne is in lockdown 3.0. Okay, fantastic.
This works.
Okay, that's cool. That's working. Great. All right, it's 9 o'clock, so I guess we can get started. Faraz asks, how is Melbourne with COVID? Yeah, crazy, hey? So yeah, Melbourne is, or Victoria, the state of Victoria is definitely the worst in Australia. All the other cities and states in Australia are very good. Like they have very few cases, very few deaths, which is excellent. But unfortunately, Melbourne had some sort of like, I don't know, we just didn't control it very well. There was some problems with community transmission, and like this virus, it just spreads in a network. So all of a sudden it went up very quickly. So it's fine. It's like, I feel like I'm safe, but it's just a very boring, I've got to say, it's a very boring life in lockdown. You know, there's none of the fun of going out for dinner and doing all that stuff. But, you know, it could be much, much worse. So I think obviously locking down, staying inside, you know, avoiding seeing people is actually the best thing we can do. So yes, I'm not complaining too much. It's okay. It's fine. I've got a nice cup of tea. I'm warm. I've got friends to talk to on the phone, so it's all good. Okay, I hope you're all safe and well, by the way. It's a crazy time. It's definitely a crazy time. Okay, so let's get started. My name is Jay. I'm one of the expert OET teachers here at E2 Language. This class is primarily directed to students who are free on the platform, who are thinking about signing up but are sort of umming and ahhing and are not quite sure. It still will be helpful for those of you who are paid students and who have been attending our fantastic live classes. But really what I'm going to do in this class is sort of just, it's a bit of an introduction to OET reading, what OET reading consists of. We'll do a few practice questions. But it really is to give you a bit of a taste of about what we do at E2 Language. So let's start with what's coming up this week at E2. So on Wednesday, the 12th, which is this Wednesday coming up, I'm going to give a masterclass. I haven't really decided what I'm going to do yet, but probably it'll be a few questions from each of the sections with a deep dive into the methods. Or I might just look at one section in particular and sort of really go into the methodology of how to approach those questions. I think that's really critical. So that's on Wednesday. Later today, we have OET reading with Samantha, like a proper full, you know, a mock test, if you like, a guided mock test. And also Samantha will be teaching OET writing for nurses later today as well. She's a fantastic teacher. Next week, here are just some of the classes available. OET speaking with Judy, OET writing for doctors with Judy, OET listening with Colin, OET writing for doctors with Samantha. There's an OET Ask Me Anything with me and Brad on, that's actually Monday morning Melbourne time, so on Monday sometime. And Colin's delivering a new member welcome. So there's heaps of live classes coming up this week. But let's get straight into it. Let's take a look at reading part A, okay? We'll start with reading part A. What we're going to do is we're going to look at the task and understand the task, understand what you need to do on test day. Then we're going to take a look at a method, so an approach that you can take on test day, the best way to approach this task type. And then we'll do a little bit of practice, but we're not going to do a full test, okay? So here's the task. And let me get out my little red dot drawing tool, my annotation tool, just bear with me. Okay. Okay. So this is kind of what the task looks like on test day. You're going to get a sheet of paper that will have 4 texts on it, okay? Texts aren't particularly long. They usually take up half an A4 sheet of paper. So this will be text A and it'll be some sort of definition with dot points, for example. This will be text B and it'll be some sort of flow chart or diagram. You'll always get some sort of flow chart or diagram. Text C will be a longer sort of paragraph of text, and text D will be something else. But all of them will be related to a single topic, okay? But they'll draw on different things. So for example, text A might draw on the definition of what is a migraine. Text B will look at flow charts for for, I don't know, what happens during a migraine. Text C will look at medications for migraines, and text D will be like a patient talking about his migraines or something like that. So slightly different, but all the same topic. Now, you're also going to get a question booklet, okay? And there's going to be 20 questions. You're going to have some matching questions, which I'll talk to you about. You'll have some short answer questions and some sentence completion questions, okay? The matching questions are pretty straightforward. They ask you questions like this. They say, there might be 5 of them, or I think there's about 5, is it 10? I think there's about 5 matching questions. And they say, they always start like this. In which text, so A, B, C, or D, can you find information about medication for migraines? And you're like, oh, text C. So you just write C. So that's pretty straightforward. The matching ones really familiarize you with the 4 texts, okay? And the answer that you'll write will just be A, B, C, or D. Short answer, they'll actually ask you a specific question, and you're going to have to, first of all, identify the text, and then secondly, identify the word or short phrase to answer the question. So where should blah, 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 blah. And you go, oh, text D, and I'll pick that word or that phrase to answer the question. Sentence completion is very similar, except instead of answering a short question with a short phrase or word or short phrase, you'll fill a gap with a word or short phrase. So that's a basic overview of what you have to do in reading part A. It's a different type of test. What it's testing you for really, because you have 20 questions in 15 minutes, it's a test of your speed reading skills, something that you would naturally do in your clinic or hospital. So again, 20 questions in 15 minutes, that's fewer than, you get less than 1 minute per question to answer them, okay? So you have to be fast. Okay, let's talk about the method. Method is like this. When you first start the test and they say, okay, you can begin the test, the first thing you want to do is avoid the questions. Don't go into the questions yet. You want to spend about 1 minute speed reading each of the 4 texts to get an idea of what they're about, okay? So you'll spend about 15 seconds looking at text A, understanding what text A is about. Then you'll spend about not just understanding what text A is about. You'll be paying attention to title, okay, subtitles, and keywords. This is going to help you later on. Then you'll quickly look at text B for 15 seconds. And you go, okay, I understand what this is. It's a flow chart explaining X. Okay, here's some keywords from text B. 15 seconds on text C, same thing. You want to understand what it is. You understand the titles, subtitles, keywords. Okay, this is really going to help you. So spend about a minute doing that. Then you're going to start with the matching questions. I'm going to disappear off the screen here. Then you'll start with the matching questions, okay? Because these questions, in which text can you find information about medications for blah, blah, blah? These questions will help to familiarize you even further with the information in the text, and it will help you when you eventually get to short answer and sentence completion. Now, for short answer and sentence completion, these 2 types of questions, you're really doing 3 things. First of all, you're going to read the question. And the first thing you need to do is identify in which text you're going to look to find that specific information. So for example, it might say, where should a patient go if migraines become too burdensome? Something like that, okay? Where? Okay, you're going, oh, in text C, they talked about, clinics and hospitals in case something like that. So you're in text C, that's step 1. Step 2 is to locate the area of the text. Oh, they said that around here. Okay, you locate the specific area of the text. And then step 3 is you read very carefully to find that word or short phrase to complete the question or the sentence completion, okay? Okay, here's a critical tip. For short answer and sentence completion, you take the word or the phrase directly from the text and you do not change it. You do not transform it. It doesn't undergo any sort of transformational change, okay? So you take that word, single word, or short phrase directly from the text to answer the question. Make sure you copy it exactly, because in fact, if you get the spelling wrong, if you get the actual word but you spell it wrong, it will be marked incorrect. Okay, so you're copying directly from the text. Okay, let's do part of a reading part A. Let's do it. First things first, I'm going to give you 15 seconds to do step 1, which was to very quickly speed read this, paying attention to keywords, headings, and just try to get an overall idea about what this text is about. Let's do the same with text B. Okay, now we're going to spend 30 seconds doing these 2 questions. The answer will be A or B. Okay, that's all you'll write down. So for number 1, sorry, I'm just going to let you do it now. You have 30 seconds to answer these 2 questions. Okay, hopefully you got the answers there. Let's move on. Now we're going to do a short answer question. Okay, so I'm going to give you 60 seconds, so 30 seconds per question. And you're going to answer these 2 questions with a word or short phrase taken directly from the text. Okay, hopefully you got those. We'll come and look at the answers in a minute or so. Let's do this question here. These are the sentence completion ones. So again, first things first, you want to identify in which text you'll find this information, and then locate the specific word or phrase to fill the gap, okay? You have 60 seconds. Okay. How'd you go? I didn't give you much time, and I was really pushing you there. Plus, By the way, I only gave you 2 texts. Remember on test day that you're going to get 4 texts that you have to work between. So this was just a good sort of little short practice. Okay, let's have a look at the answers here. So in which text can you find information about how you might diagnose iron deficiency? Well, when you scanned this text very quickly, you would have noticed that a lot of this was about iron deficiency and a lot of it was about diagnosis, okay? This one here, which it explicitly says in the heading, is the treatment of infants and children and various information related to that. Therefore, the answer to number 1 would be A, because diagnosis of iron deficiency, that's where you would find information about that particular topic. Hopefully you got 1A. And on test day, that's what you would write on your answer sheet is the letter A next to number 1. That's all you need to write. You don't write text A, you just write A. Now, number 2, again, this is pretty simple. In which text can you find information about common causes of iron deficiency in children? Well, this was straightforward. That's basically what that text was about. So they were 2 pretty easy questions. Okay, so 1A, 2B. Okay, then it started getting a little bit more complicated. So question 3, what type of protocols should be adhered to when increasing children's iron? Okay, first thing you should have noticed is the word children here. So forget text A. We're going to be looking in text B for the answer here. Okay, and here's a good keyword, protocols. Okay, protocols. So if you did scan your eyes, there is actually the word protocols here. Sometimes you'll find the exact word. Sometimes you'll find a synonym. But the answer to this one was pediatric specific. Okay, what type of protocols? Pediatric specific protocols, blah, 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 should be followed. Okay, or adhered to. So now here's the thing. Pediatric dash specific. Look at here, pediatric dash specific. If you did write pediatric specific, it would probably still be considered correct. But my advice to you is to copy it exactly from the text, letter for letter, okay? Punctuation for punctuation. Number 4, what is considered inadequate compared to breast milk or infant formula? Now, the words in here, breast milk, infant, again, you'd forget text A. You're looking in text B again because it's about infants and children. Now, and a good keyword would be breast milk or formula. And here it says cow's milk is low in iron compared with breast milk and infant formula. What is considered inadequate? Does it say anything about inadequacy? Yeah. Anyway, the answer here is cow's milk. Now, I saw a number of answers in here that did not have the apostrophe. Again, copy it letter for letter, punctuation for punctuation. Just be careful. I mean, admittedly, I didn't use the capital letter there, but that would be fine. But copy the word itself. Actually, you know what? You should, because if it's a medication and it has a capital letter, just copy the capital letter too. Okay, number 5. A lot of you got this wrong because you included the 3 to 6 milligrams. Let's read it carefully. First of all, it says pediatricians. Great. We know we're looking in text B. Pediatricians typically provide up to something of elemental iron orally per day. Up to 3 to 6 milligrams/kg. That is the answer. If you wrote 3 to 6 milligrams/kg, it would be considered incorrect because that would say they provide up to 3 to 6 milligrams/kg. I put this one in purposely because I knew you would do that, and I don't want you to do that on test day. So just be careful of little things like that could trick you, okay? Up to, I can't think of any others, but you sort of, hopefully you get the point about what that means and why, if there's some sort of measurement, you may just be taking one of them, not both of them. So just be careful, just be careful. Okay, last one, number 6. Let's see how you went. How did you go with this one? Did you get gastroenterologist? Oh, good, nice. Sunvi got it. Nice. Loyalin got it. Okay, somebody wrote specialist pediatrician. I'm not sure. I may have written this question incorrectly. Is there, where does it say specialist pediatrician? Does it actually say that? If oral iron is ineffective, I see. Maybe I wrote this question wrong. If oral iron is ineffective or not tolerated, then consider other causes of anemia, referral to a specialist pediatrician. Okay, let's read this again. Referring a patient with low iron to okay, you know what? That was my bad question. That was my bad question. This is the problem with writing these questions. Both of those would be considered incorrect. This is a bad question written by me yesterday. So my apologies. But let's just have a look at this gastroenterologist one here. So referring a patient with low iron to a, it says identifying the cause of iron deficiency is crucial. Referral to a gastroenterologist is often required. Okay, so that is certainly one answer there. Okay, but whoops, but you're right. Specialist pediatrician would, my apologies, that's a bad question. Anyway, that gives you a bit of an idea of about how reading part A works. It's an intense test, especially with that time limit. And I really recommend when you're practicing to have that stopwatch there, 15 minutes, set it, and try to work within those times. Really what you need to do when you're practicing is work out how it is that you're coming up with those answers and try to improve upon those strategies, right? Because again, you get a question like question 5, pediatricians, blah, blah, blah. Okay, which text? Text B. Okay, what's the specific keyword in the question stem there? You know, oral iron. Okay, there's where it says something about oral iron. Read carefully, take the word or phrase, fill it. Anyway, it really is, practice is essential for reading part A. I should mention, if you're a free user and you haven't taken the OET test before, and you're a bit concerned about what your score might be, you don't know if you're ready or not, or you don't know what your weaknesses are, even if you really have high level English skills, still a very good idea to do some sort of mock test before test day, just to get some feedback, to make sure you're doing it all correctly. Or if you have actually taken the OET test before and you've been unsuccessful, but you don't really know why, what part of the reading section was it, or the listening section, or whatever. This is great because it'll provide you with lots of detailed feedback. So you can start to really identify which parts of the test you need to focus on. Okay, so this is great. This can be purchased in the Express Plus package. Highly recommend it. Great test. Plus the one-on-one speaking is actually done with a teacher as well. So you get that, you get that experience of what it's like on exam day. You'll get nervous, and that's good. That's a good thing to do prior to test day. Okay, let's have a look at reading part B now. So this is what the task looks like. This is one question. You're going to get 6 of these on test day. So you can see it has, it's a pretty straightforward multiple choice type question. Here's the text that you need to read. You get 3 answer options, and you'll get a question that'll be an incomplete sentence or a direct question. So pretty straightforward. Now the method for this is interesting. There's a really good way to approach this. What you need to do is firstly read this part here. Okay, read the question stem. Then what you want to do is skip the answer options. You want to go straight from the question stem to the text itself. Okay, you don't want to confuse yourself or distract yourself with the answer options just yet, because you want to have a very clear reading of the text. Okay, you can read and you can understand this text. Okay, so if you really avoid these. These are only going to confuse you until you have read this, in which case you'll read this very carefully, then you'll come back and read the answer options. Because then you'll, with the clear understanding of the text, you go, oh, okay, it's not this one, it's not this one, it's that one there. Okay, that's the idea. Whoa. Sorry. Let's try this. I'm going to give you 90 seconds to answer this question here. should also, whoops, so I should also mention here that you do reading part A first, and you get your 15 minutes. And after you have finished, after the 15 minutes is up, they'll come and take your reading part A. So there's no more time to look at it. Then you'll begin reading part B and C together, and you get 45 minutes to complete both. In terms of time management, you want to spend less than 2 minutes on each of the reading part B questions. Okay, so you have six questions. So you want to spend about 12 minutes max on those reading part B questions, because you really do want to, as we just saw, I just gave you 90 seconds there. That's enough time. That's a minute and a half. Okay, and then it'll give you more time to concentrate on reading part C, which is arguably a little bit more complicated. Okay, let's go through each of these answer options. Okay, so negative effects from prescription drugs are often avoidable in young people. Well, in the text here, it says adverse effects of prescription drugs are thought to be preventable in almost 90% of cases in the elderly, compared with only 24% in younger patients. Let's read it again. Negative effects from prescription drugs are often avoidable in young people. Do these two things say the same thing? Yes or no? Pop it into the chat. Does this say the same thing as this? Yes or no? Good. Everybody's saying no. I agree. Therefore, it's going to be wrong, right? It's contradictory. It's wrong. It's not right. So let's move on and do the same thing here. Let's determine whether this says the same thing as this. Negative effects from prescription drugs are often unpredictable in the elderly. Well, down there in the text, it says in the elderly, there are a number of common reasons for adverse drug effects. Do these two statements say the same thing? Yes or no? Terrific. Nice work, everybody. Okay, so this one's saying it's unpredictable in the elderly. This one's saying there are a number of reasons for adverse drug effects. In other words, it's predictable. So these contradict each other. So I'm not happy with that. This is a good thing. If you're able to eliminate two, hopefully we can confirm the third one is correct. So let's have a look at the third one here. Negative effects from prescription drugs are often caused by miscommunication. Well, many of these reasons for adverse drug effects involve inadequate communication with patients. Does this statement say the same thing as this? Yes or no? Yay! Nice work, you got it. Nailed reading part B. Good stuff. Cool. So again, my advice for this one, or E2 Languages advice, is to read the question prompt, okay? You're going to be reading something about negative effects from prescription drugs and their frequency, okay? Keep that in your mind a little bit, but really you have enough time. This is really about 300 words. It's, sorry, less than that. It's probably about 200 words. You have an ample time to read this very carefully and to understand it. Here's the kicker with reading tests. They're reading tests. They're about your ability to comprehend the text itself. And trust me, on test day, there's going to be all sorts of, anxious feelings and adrenaline and stuff running through your body. But what you ultimately have to do is read and understand the paragraph. If you can do that, you're 90% of the way there. Because then you go up, you go, didn't say that. Oh, yes, it said that in different words. That's the answer. Cool. Let's look at reading part C. We'll focus first of all on the task. Let me disappear. So the task looks like this. First of all, you get a long text. The one we just looked at with reading part B, you get like a single paragraph. Okay, it's a short little text, 6 short little texts. With reading part C, you're going to get a longer text. Okay, and the longer text will be broken up into paragraphs. I think it can be up to 800 words. So here's paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3. It's usually about 7 or 8 paragraphs. Okay, so it's a longer text. And it will be on a specific topic, and it will tell you the topic. It might, again, be headaches or whatever. Now, you're also going to get a question booklet, and it will say, the question will say, in paragraph 1, what does the author blah, 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 blah. This time you're going to have 4 answer options, not 3, okay? The good news is that it tells you in which paragraph the answer is. So if it says in paragraph 1, obviously you're going to be reading here, not here, okay? And in the next question, it'll say in paragraph 2, etc. So that's good. It usually says this, or it will say, according to Max Planck, and it'll be very clear that Max Planck was mentioned in paragraph 2. So anyway, you won't get lost, which is good. In terms of a method, you will use a pretty similar method, I think. Okay, so what you'll do is you'll read the question prompt, you'll avoid these answer options, you'll read the question prompt, you'll come across, you'll carefully read the paragraph because you have enough time, you'll understand the paragraph, then you'll hit each answer option, you'll eliminate incorrect ones, you'll arrive at a correct one, okay? No, okay, let's do a little bit of practice here. I'm going to give you 90 seconds to read this carefully, and then select the answer option. I might give you a little bit more time, in fact. I'm going to give you more time just because I really want you to get the answer correct. So let's go back. I'm just going to go back so I can reset my timer. Hold on. I'm going to give you another 30 seconds. Actually, I'm going to give you another. Let's just go to the end. Let's make sure we get this question right. All right. Okay, I've got a variety of answers here, so that's probably not a good thing. Let's see who got it right. Let's go through and we'll do the same approach that we took for reading part B. So first of all, let's read the question prompt. In the first paragraph, what point does the writer make about the treatment of depression? Actually, before we even do that, text 1, difficult to treat depression. Okay, this is what the entire text is about. Let's read this again. In the first paragraph, what point does the writer make about the treatment of depression? Okay, so it's a pretty broad sort of question prompt. What point does the author make here? Okay. When we're looking at option A, it says, amazingly, only 35% of people with a mental health problem had a mental health consultation during the previous 12 months. 3/4 of those seeking help saw a general practitioner. Okay, here it says 75% of depression sufferers visit their GP for treatment. I want you to ask yourself, does this say the same thing as this? Yes or no? It's a bit complicated. Good. Okay, most people are saying no. I mean, it's a little bit misleading, isn't it? 75% of depression sufferers visit their GP for treatment. 3/4, that's 75% of those seeking help. So it's actually 3/4 of the 35%. It's 3/4 of 35%. So that's not 75% of depression sufferers, because it says here only 35% of people with a mental health problem. It doesn't even say depression. This is wrong. This is wrong. It's just an inaccurate reading of that part of the text. A is wrong. Let's try B. GPs struggle to meet the needs of patients with depression. So 3/4 of those seeking help saw a general practitioner. In the 2015-2016 follow-up survey, not much had changed. Again, there was evidence of substantial unmet need. Now, read these two. Does this say the same thing as this? Yes or no? Where is the unmet need coming from? Is that because GPs can't provide it? Or is it because patients aren't actually seeking it? Or sufferers aren't seeking it? Yes or no? What do you think? I'll give you a bit of time to carefully read this. This is a real trick. Keep reading. What does that unmet need mean? Is that referring to GPs struggling to meet the needs of patients? Or is that unmet need coming from people who actually have mental health problems not seeking attention? The answer is actually no. This is wrong. This is an incorrect reading of the text. GPs struggle to meet the needs of patients with depression. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. It says there was evidence of substantial unmet need, but that's because 3/4 of those seeking help, sorry, what does it say? Only 35% of people with a mental health problem had a mental health consultation. Okay, so this is an incorrect reading. It's very tempting. It's very tempting. It's a very implausible incorrect reading, but it's wrong. Let's look at C. Treatment for depression takes an average of 11.7 days a month. Does this say the same thing as this? Yes or no? Loyalan, in Atif, I want you to read it again very carefully. This says treatment for depression takes an average of 11.7 days a month. Does it say that here? Does it say anything about treatment there? No, it's saying that they had to take days off, disability days. They were unable to work, basically. Is that treatment for depression? No, it's not. So again, it's a very tempting, and this is the thing with OET reading. All of the answer options will be very tempting. They're all plausible. They're sort of, what they are, they're misreadings, okay? They've purposely created these answer options, which is a plausible misreading of the text. That is, You could say that, but actually when you read more carefully, it doesn't say that. That's how they construct their tests, okay? So we're left with D. Please have a look at D and this part here. Does this say the same thing as this? Yes. Yes, good, Loyal. That's correct. Nice. Yeah, most people with depression symptoms never receive help. Here it says only 35% of people with a mental health problem had a mental health consultation during the previous 12 months. In other words, most people with depression symptoms never receive help. Okay? That says the same thing as this, or at least it is certainly the closest. These were incorrect. Okay, these were incorrect readings. This pretty much says this. Okay, so I guess there's a little bit of inference there, but it's pretty much saying the same thing. Is certainly the best answer. Okay, so what point does the writer make about the treatment of depression? Well, most people with depression symptoms never receive help. Cool. Anyway, that's kind of like the that's a good example of the of what reading part C is really like. It's a tough reading test. It's a tough reading test. Yeah, requires practice. Cool. All right. So if you want to know more, again, this class was really directed towards free students or students who have not yet signed up to E2 language. And I guess it was a class to sort of encourage you to think about at least signing up for free. You can sign up for free and there's a full free practice test on the website, but also to make you think about whether you want to upgrade your package or not from free to even the express package, which is $39 US, well worth the money. So on Wednesday, all these classes are locked, by the way. These are only for paid users. I'll be giving a masterclass on Wednesday. Later today, there's OET reading with Samantha, OET writing with Samantha, OET speaking with Judy. There's lots of classes coming up this week. Here's some study tips. Make sure you study the OET material on the website carefully, not necessarily quickly, okay? What you should do, for example, with the reading practice tests is not just try to find the right answer, but do what we did today. Find out which which answer options were wrong and think about why they were wrong. Think about why they were plausible misreadings. Think about why they were incorrect. Really go deep into those texts, okay? You know, and in order to do that, you need to concentrate, you need to pay attention, you need to sit there, have no distractions, and really that's how you'll improve your OET reading, okay? It's not about doing quick practice and going, yeah, I didn't get that one, doesn't matter. About question 6, I screwed that one up. No, stop, take a look carefully, try to understand. The problem is here, you need good material because as you can see, it's difficult to write these tests, to write them so that they're almost exactly the same as the OET test itself. A lot of the free material that you'll get on the internet is really poor quality and you'll find it more confusing than helpful. Honestly, some of the questions that I've looked at of the free tests, I don't even know what the answer is. Like it's just, or there might be 2 answers. It's just really problematic. Okay, so attend as many live classes as you can before the class practice on the platform. How long do you need to prepare for OET? It depends on your current level. It depends on your target score and depends on your lifestyle, okay? So maybe 1 to 4 hours per day. If you're around the right level, you still need to familiarize yourself with the test. So about a month of sort of part-time practice will put, it'll put you in a pretty good position. If your English language skills are below the target level, then you might need a few months of live classes coming every day, etc., to really build up your skills. If you don't know your level, then take the mini mock test. Pretty straightforward. Again, that mini mock test is a fabulous little tool to get a good idea of where you sit and whether or not you're ready for the test. If you want to go deeper into particular tasks like speaking or writing, As part of the packages, you can book tutorials as well. These are 45 minutes one-on-one with the teacher, and you can have all of your questions answered. The teacher can look at your writing or do practice speaking with you, etc. Cool. That's enough from me. So Ada asks, feel free to ask some questions into the chat now. And if you're on YouTube, it's probably a bit late to come into the platform now to ask questions, but I highly recommend that you come off YouTube, go to e2language.com and sign up for free. That way you can participate in these live classes. So Ada says, what does the masterclass consist of? Well, I'm pretty sure with the masterclass, what I'll do is I'm going to look at different sections. Okay, so this Wednesday, what I'll do is I'm going to look at writing, and I'm going to look at case note selection and organization. Okay, I think they're two of the most critical aspects of getting a high writing score. One is you need to be able to select relevant case notes. Second biggest problem I see with students is disorganization of their paragraphs. You know, it's a bit of a mess. So it's case note selection, then organization into a nice structure of the letter. So we'll probably look at that on Wednesday. Atif says, what do you suggest about reading part B and C on test day? Should we start with part B or part C? I recommend starting with part B. I guess it doesn't really matter, actually. It doesn't really matter. I think part B probably, because at least you know with part B, you need to spend, you know, less than 2 minutes per question. So it's kind of nice. If I took the test, I would start with part B. Any tips for listening part C? Yeah, listening part C is, I think that's probably the most challenging task of all of them, you know, because it's really hard to listen and read at the same time. And what you're doing in listening part C is you've got that multiple choice question. Not only do you have a question prompt, but you've got all these answer options. So it's very much like reading part C, like we just did then, except you're doing it in real time as somebody speaking, you know. Look, any tips for it? Well, yes, I'm just going to direct you to the methods lessons on e2language.com for that one. In that methods lesson video, I go pretty deeply into a good approach to listening part C. It's probably best if you watch that video. Satya, how many questions do I need to get right to get a B? I'm not sure actually, but I think that information is on the OET official website. So yeah, head over to occupationalenglishtest.org. I'm pretty sure they've got a little table that tells you how many you need to get right. But again, you know, you can do the mathematics on this all day long, but ultimately you need to practice, and you need to practice deeply. Taufik, where can I do the mini mock test? Well, you do it on your computer at home, actually. So you'll need a laptop or a desktop, but you basically just, you have to purchase the mini mock test. It's not free. So you purchase it, and then you make sure you've got about 2.5 hours clear in your schedule, and you'll actually sit down. It starts with listening, goes through listening ABC, goes through reading ABC, and then you do writing all in one sitting, okay? And you submit it through. Then what happens is you book your speaking separately. There's a little booking system. You book a one-on-one speaking with the teacher. Then you take your speaking maybe the following day or that day, it's up to you, or before. And then what happens is you receive your results within 24 to 48 hours. You receive your results, like a numerical information, like you got this %, but you also, more importantly, receive feedback. Okay, so the teacher will go through your letter, give you feedback. With the speaking, will give you feedback. With reading ABC, you'll be able to see which questions you did correctly, which ones you didn't do correctly, etc. So it's extremely helpful. Sihajpreet, will the practice tests on the Express Plus package be sufficient for all subtests? Yeah, so you get 5 full practice tests. It's quite a lot. And again, I think the best approach to this practice material, because it's high quality, is not just quickly doing it and saying, oh, what's my score? It's to really work through the material, just like I explained before. We will be releasing a sixth practice test, probably in the next couple of weeks. So there will eventually, in the next 2 weeks, there will be 6 practice tests up on the platform. So we'll release an additional one. So yeah, look, not only that, there's not just 6, by the way. They're just the self-study material. Every day, there are 2 live classes per day where there's different practice material. So in fact, it's like there's a lot of practice. And I think the live classes are great because, you're put under time pressure. The teacher's there if you have a question. Anyway, it's pretty good. During part C, each question is in order. I mean, question 1 with the first paragraph. Yes, that's correct. So question 1 relates to paragraph 1. Question 2 will relate to paragraph 2 or paragraph 1. But yes, it's in order of the text. It follows the same sequence as the text. Odessa, Jay, how do I book a tutorial? Yeah, so on the website, let me show you the website. Just bear with me for a second here. Oh, I don't think I know the password, do I? Oh, yes, got it. All right, so let me just share. Okay, cool. So here are all the live classes. So today there's reading at 6 p.m. Melbourne time and then 8 p.m. Melbourne time. So here's how you book all the live classes. You simply click register. Very simple. It sends an email to you with the link to join the live class. Here's the mini mock test here. Here's how you start the test or you book your speaking. Here's all the practice material. So here's all the reading part A, including the methods lessons, etc. Here's the methods lessons. In terms of tutorials, you click here on tutorials. You click book a session. You choose a day. You choose a time. You choose what you want to focus on. Let's say you want to focus on writing and reading part C, and you click submit, and then that books it in with the teacher. So pretty straightforward. Here's where you submit your feedback if you want writing feedback. If you miss a live class, no sweat. Here's all of the live classes. Whoops, where is it actually? Where is it? Oh, sorry, recorded classes. There it is here. So if you did miss a live class, you can watch it here. Here's one with Marie Claire, for example. This is really cool, by the way. If you're struggling with your basic skills in English, like grammar, vocab, pronunciation, we have this thing here called E2 School. You can actually sign up for free to the grammar course, speaking lab, etc. It's a course that builds your pronunciation, grammar and stuff. Anyway, there's heaps of stuff on the website. It's a very good website. Sarah, do we have to type answers in the mock test? What about the letter in writing? Yeah, you'll be typing. Okay, so it's not written, you'll be typing your letter. Are there any good practice material for listening free on YouTube that you can suggest? I mean, good quality and up to the mark for the actual OET. The only practice material I recommend is the official OET material and E2 language. That's it. I mean, I haven't looked deeply at all of the other providers' material, but I can tell you now that a lot of it is junk. Seriously, I wouldn't bother practicing with it. It's not good. Spandana, I have a mini mock test. How do I schedule the speaking? I'll show you. It's very simple. You click on mini mock test here. You click this button that says book speaking mock test. You choose a day, you choose a time, and you click yes. Okay, simple. Does the Express Plus have a mini mock test? Yes, it does. Greetings from Brooklyn, New York. Hello, Hosman. Nice to see you. Yes, it does have a mini mock test. Cool. I think that's all. I'm going to leave you there. Thanks very much for coming along. I hope it was helpful. Anyway, hopefully I'll see you on Wednesday for the OET Masterclass. Anyway, have a nice day. Stay safe. Stay sane. Keep doing the good work that you're doing. See you soon.